Hi friends. So the big day has come. It's the second semi-final of the 2025 ODI World Cup and it's between India, the host, and Australia, the defending champions. India would be carrying the wishes and the prayers of 140 crore passionate cricket fans, whereas Australia would be carrying the legacy and the pedigree of a team which has won 13 ICC tournaments so far, 7 ODI World Cups, 6 T20 World Cups. They have won 2 out of the last 3 ODI World Cups. They are the team which are the number 1 in the world. They are invincible looking team. They have been unbeaten in this World Cup and no team has been able to create an upset against them. And if we're talking about against India, they have a very formidable record against India. They have 14-2 win-loss record against India since 2017, since that day when Harmanpreet Kaur played that iconic knock of 171 not out to take India to the final against them in the 2017 World Cup in England. And yet, India has only managed to win 2 out of the last so many games. So they have lost 14 and won only 2. So if we quote and or if we go by the analogy that Surya Kumar Yadav, our men's team captain, uses for Pakistan team, saying you can't call it a rivalry with the kind of record we have against Pakistan. Australia can be spared or can be excused if they use the same analogy to say there is no rivalry with India. Because if your team has 14-2 win-loss record, you can't call it as a rivalry. And it's fair also. But then this time it's a slightly different. This time it looks if there is any team who is capable of upsetting the invincible Aussies, then this is this Indian team. And there are reasons for that. Coming into the World Cup, India was the most impressive ODI team other than Australia in this entire world. They had beaten England in England, they have beaten South Africa also, they had also beaten Australia in one of those 3 games they played just before the World Cup. And in the decider, after tying 1-1, in the decider one day at Delhi, India was on the verge of creating a miracle, creating a history by chasing down 413 runs that Australia had set them a target. And at one point, India was cruising and they finally ended at 369. Just imagine scoring 369 while chasing 412. India didn't fold, India didn't give up. And at one point, they looked like creating a real mammoth upset. Maybe the lack of depth in the lower middle order, maybe lack of self-belief, maybe better bowling depth in Australian bowling, maybe more self-belief in Australian team, or maybe a little panic in the end that prevented India from creating that massive upset. And let's not forget, India scored 369 in 47 overs and could not utilize 18 balls. So it was even much closer than what it turned out to be on the scorecard. And now coming to the round robin stage of this World Cup also, India though has been playing slightly below par throughout the tournament, but against Australia, India at one point looked capable of reaching 360, which could have sealed the game in India's favour. Ultimately, there was a mini collapse and India was reduced to 330, and yet 330 was a formidable total. And Indian bowlers tested Australia, but unfortunately, they had to face the wrath of somebody called Alisa Healy, who was in a rampaging form, and the batting depth of Australian team along with Healy's inspiring batting helped them to reach victory in convincing manner. But Australia was slightly rattled. They knew that no team has managed to score 300 plus against them in this World Cup, and they knew they were tested. They could have lost that match if India had better bowling resources in the middle overs to help Dipti Sharma and company. So yes, all these facts are showing that this time it is not as one-sided as it used to be in the past. India has a chance, but for that a lot of things have to go in India's way. India, to start with, have to go with their best possible 11, because India has been struggling to find the right balance, whether to go with one batter extra to counter a great team like Australia in terms of chasing down the target, or to go with 6 bowling options so that they have a little backup for one of the 2 of the bowlers who have a bad day against the stroke players against Australia. And in that conflict and confusion, they have been not able to have a settled team, because when they are trying to reinforce their bowling, their batting looks wafer thin, and if they are trying to add strength to their batting, then their bowling is struggling in the middle overs. So this time they have to decide how they are to go to counter Australia, and I think they should go with whatever gives them that self confidence that they can win the match. The fact that Pratika Rawal has been ruled out is a big blow, because along with Smriti Mandhana, she was one of the best batters in this World Cup for India, had a fabulous average and also a decent strike rate, and she was giving a good enough start to Indian team along with Smriti. Now that she is out, India has to juggle or to rejuggle their batting lineup and to find somebody to open. Yes, they have taken Safali Verma as an X factor, but Safali was really struggling when she was playing last for India, and that's why she was not even kept in the substitute bench for this World Cup. Yes, India has taken her as X factor because of Pratika's injury, but I don't think India should rush her to play in such an important game against Australians. So I think what India can do is promote either Harleen or Jemima to open with Smriti. That way the proven players will get a chance to steady the ship, and then that would also allow India to balance their team a little better in terms of their bowling, because their batters, once they get rejuggled and reoriented, that would open up slot for Amanjot, who could not get a slot in the last match. So now Amanjot can come as a utility lower middle order batter and also a frontline seam bowler to give backup to Kranti Gaur in case one of the bowlers has a bad day. And then India should ensure that Renuka plays. Now it is a formality because India has realized the mistake they had done in the initial matches by not playing her. But the problem with Renuka is that she is a new ball bowler. Her potency is at the best when she is with a new ball. She is not as effective in the end overs. So India has to give the ball to her and let her bowl as many overs possible in the top order, in the top overs or in the power play, so that she can try to inflict as much damage in the formidable Australian top order batting. And that is a must. That is the secret to beat this Australian team. You can't allow them to go with a 60 or 70 for no loss or just one wicket down after power play, because once that happens, it would be very, very tough to restrict them or to take wickets in the middle overs. So India has to keep on taking wickets in the power play, hopefully take 2 to 3 wickets for just 40 to 50 runs, and then that would expose the lower middle order. And once the Australian lower middle order does some harakiri, then that would open up their batting, and that may end up Australia scoring a below par total, and that would be India's best chance to chase down with Harmanpreet and Smriti's experience and Jemima and Harleen to give supporting cast. But for that, India has to give Renuka Singh major chunk of the bowling in the front and have to find out who can be the partner with Dipti Sharma towards the fag end or towards the slog overs, because Renuka is not your typical death over specialist. So that is one area India has to find out, play the best possible 11 with the best balance, have a proper plan and execute that plan, and don't allow Australia to create intimidation or put you in the back foot or create a mental scar by running away with the match in the first 10-15 overs. Try to inflict damages and put them in the back foot. That's your best chance. Australia, on the other hand, knows that yes, they have a great team, they have great resources, and they have the ability to win this World Cup once again. But they have had some rough days. They have been a slightly below par in some of the games, especially with their batting, because perhaps they have been playing a one-dimensional stroke play cricket, which has given them so much success. But maybe on some few sluggish pitches, slow pitches, turning pitches, it has created real damage to them, especially that game against Pakistan where they lost almost 7 wickets for nothing. Luckily, they have the best lower middle order and tail-ender batting to bail them out that day, and unfortunately Pakistan didn't have the bowling depth to finish up the Australian innings, and that's how Australia managed to escape that match with Alana King and Waith Muni's batting. But against a team like India, Australia may not be that lucky, because India has slightly better bowling lineup, a more rounded bowling lineup, more balanced bowling lineup. So Australia, if they lose 5-6 wickets early, India can really rein in and then can suffocate them and reduce them to a chaseable total. For that, Australia has to be pushed to the corner, and Australian lower middle order has to be brought into the batting crease when Indian top line bowlers like Renuka or Dipti are still bowling. India can't allow their batters to dominate, or the top order batters to dominate in the major chunk of the first 25 overs. But then if that happens, the match would be over. For that, hopefully India should win the toss and bat first and score a 290 to 300 run total minimum, and then their bowlers can bowl without much pressure and without the pressure of chasing a target. They will be bowling, and then that would put some pressure on Australia, because the second semi-final is going to be played in the D.Y. Patil Stadium in New Mumbai, and that stadium is known to be supporting women's cricket immensely. Every time there is a women's international cricket match, that stadium gets packed. So you can expect a packed house today also. And if India bats second, that can put added pressure, being a host country. And if Australia manages to put up a huge total, then changing that total in front of a packed house can be a little dangerous for India. So India would like to win the toss in a packed house, in a home ground, put up a formidable total of around 300, and then try to use the partition crowd and the home support while bowling to put pressure on Australia. And hopefully Australian batters can create harakiri, and Indian bowlers can try to take wickets in regular intervals and then create panic in Australian batting the way they had against Pakistan. Now coming to the Australian side, there are some whispers about the fact that they may be a little jittery, they may be a little rattled, because let's not forget, in spite of such an impressive record, they have tested defeat also. They have lost in the semi-final to South Africa in the T20 World Cup barely a year back. So it's not that they are looking completely invincible, but the fact remains is that they can still bounce back very fast, as they have done in this World Cup. There are also some talks that they have lost some genuine iconic match winners like Meg Lanning, Rachel Hens and Jessie Jonathan, who were actually internationally proven match winners, and you can't just find out replacement overnight to take them to that glory days. But if you really do a deep dive into this Australian team, you will find that's not the case. Yes, they have lost Meg Lanning and Rachel Hens in the top of the order or in the top and middle order batting, but then whom they have found? They have found two 22-year-olds who are looking equally talented and formidable and impressive. In Phoebe Litchfield, they have a player who has scored with fantastic strike rate of 86 with an average of 39 in the limited times he has been in Australian team. And in Wall, that is Georgia Wall, they have found even a better batter whose average is around 60 and strike rate is around 108. And Wall is still not getting a game to play because there is Alyssa Healy, which is a fantastic match winner, their captain, their wicket keeper, and he's a fabulous stroke player, as she proved against India. So they have actually got more than enough backups for the players they have lost. Now coming to the bowling, yes, they have lost Jess Jonathan, who is a proven match winner with the ball, but then they have also got Garth. So Garth, Schutt and McGrath are tremendously gifted seam bowlers. They have height, they have pace, they have bounce, and if there is a little bit juice on the pitch, they can run through any opponent's batting lineup on a given day. So their bowling lineup is also formidable. And now coming to the spin attack, in Alana King, they have world's perhaps the second best spinner after Sophie Ecclestone, and she is capable of not just restricting, she is capable of taking wickets. She can take 4 to 5 wickets in a magic spell and turn the games upside down. So India will be kept careful that even if India has overall better spinning options, but then Australia has Alana King and Ash Gardner in the spin department, who are more than handful, and India cannot just hope that on a spinning track they can just win over against Australia the way they can win against most of the opponents, because Australia has the resources to even use those conditions against India. Now coming to the all-rounders, Australia has in Ash Gardner and Annabel Sutherland, who was two of the best all-rounders, match winners. You will be blessed to have just their batting or bowling among your resources, but they have both, and they are gifted, tremendously gifted, and they can win a game on their own. Annabel Sutherland has shown that she can score a century and take 5 wickets. It was a different thing that she allowed, she sacrificed that century because she didn't believe in personal milestone on that game. Otherwise she could have ended up with 105 wickets. And same with Ash Gardner. She has been fabulous with the bat, and she can win matches with her spin bowling also. And then there are players like Ellis Perry and Beth Mooney, who are real fantastic match winners with the bat, who can run away with the match with their stroke play, and if required they can be the anchors. They can also steady the innings, and they can really frustrate you. And so in all, Australia has fabulous firepower in the top, great middle order, world's best all-rounders, tremendously gifted seam bowling options, and world-class spinners. So if you have this kind of resources, talent and pedigree, you won't need actually any other factors like luck to win a match, and opponents will always struggle to catch up with you. And considering the fact that India has been below par throughout this World Cup campaign, it is not going to be making any easy for India against Australia. And let's not forget that India reached the semi-final in a World Cup tournament where there were actually 5 stakeholders. Yes, there were 8 contestants, but Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan were never in the hunt. They are actually struggling side. They are trying to improve. So effectively there are just 5 teams, 4 from SENA, that is Australia, England, South Africa and New Zealand, and India as a formidable host country, which were fighting for 4 slots. So it's not a miracle, it's not a great thing that India has managed to reach the semi-final, because India had to just see one country falter to get into the semi-final, and New Zealand, unfortunately for them, had a very poor World Cup and they struggled. So India was better than them. India beat them in almost like a shootout scenario in the round robin match to go through to the semi-final as the 4th team. Now the real test comes. They have been below par, but you never know. Knockout game is like a lottery, and if India manages to play to 100% of their potential and Australia plays with a dropped potential of around 10%, then this match can be close. But if Australia plays to their potential and so is India on a flat true pitch, which generally you get on the DY Patil Stadium, Australia would be favourites, because Australia believes in going with a counter attack right from the first ball and hitting you out of the match, scoring at a blistering pace. If the pitch is slightly sluggish, slightly turning, slightly helpful to the bowlers, there India has the best chance. But DY Patil Stadium seems to be the pitch ground where there is least assistance to the spinners, and that should help Australia. But let's hope the match turns out to be a real cracker of a game, just like the first semi-final between South Africa and England yesterday, where Sophie Ecclestone shone for, she was signing for England, but then Marijan Kapp showed what a fabulous all-rounder she is, with 42 of 33 balls and 5 wickets for 20 runs. And then Walwatch played one of the greatest knocks in women's ODI cricket by scoring 169 to completely snatch the game from England and take South Africa to a deserving final. What a fabulous run South Africa has been having. They reached the final in the last 2 T20 World Cups in women's cricket. They reached the ODI cricket final this time and beat their nemesis England after failing to beat them twice in the previous occasions. Their men's team have won the ICC WTC tournament this year, so they are having a dream run, and hopefully they would like to go one step ahead this time and win the World Cup. That would be a fabulous achievement for them, but for that they have to either beat India or Australia. Both of them would be formidable if they reach the final. So let's hope today's final also turns out to be a really blockbuster game, a great game for neutral fans as well as for fans of cricket. And let's hope the one negative thing that is coming into the discussion should not affect, and that is the weather. Yes, it's a very unusual time for Mumbai and New Mumbai, because by this time, at the end of October and early November, Mumbai becomes completely dry and the sky gets completely clear and there would be no monsoon. But unfortunately, it's a very unusual year for in Mumbai and New Mumbai. There are plenty of cloud, there is intermittent drizzle, there is rain, and right now as I am talking to you, there is also rain happening in Mumbai in the suburbs. So I am hoping that New Mumbai is immune to that, but there are some talk that this match will be affected. But then don't worry, both the semi-finals had reserve days, so the second semi-final also have a reserve day, and if the match doesn't get finished in the first day, it will go to the second day. It will be resumed from the point where it was finished in the first day, so it will not be a completely fresh restart. So if you look at 2 days, one can be reasonably sure that we will get a full ODI match across 2 days, even if the first day gets interrupted. So hopefully we will have a deserving finalist which will go through on merit. But if in case the most miraculous way this match gets washed away, or there is a disaster because of the nature, then it's Australia who will go through, because they are the number 1 team. They have been undefeated, they are the team with the maximum points, and they have beaten India in the league stage. But I am sure this is not going to happen. There will be a proper match and India will get a chance to win it or give a fight to Australia on merit, and if Australia wins, then credit to them. If India manages to do then it will be a fantastic feat by the team, which deserves to do it, at least based on the kind of consistency they have shown coming into this World Cup. So let's hope for a great second semi-final today, just like the first semi-final yesterday. Thank you.